All right, well, hello Streamline family and welcome to Third Party Thursday. I'm Mike Nord, Senior Marketing Executive and Third Party Relationship Manager here at Streamline. And some quick reminders before we introduce this week's guest. If you have a question, type it into the question queue and we will field as many as we can at the end of the presentation. And we also want to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and we will put a link to the recording in our system admin webinar announcements in a day or two. And thank you for joining us today. And we're introducing the incredibly smart and talented team at RevMax MD. And in my 2.5 years here at Streamline, starting with Desiree and later adding Maureen and Mally, I've had a front row seat to watch this team make Streamline become one of the elite providers for not only dynamic pricing tools, but for revenue management consulting and training. And no matter what resources or skill levels your company has with regards to pricing, RevMax has a solution for you. So with that, I'd like to introduce the Corporate Director of Revenue Management, Desiree Garcia, and Maureen Schilling, the Senior Director of Revenue Management, who will present how to increase your revenue with RevMax MD Tools and Services. Des, Maureen, take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike, and thanks everybody for joining us today. We're going to spend some time going over our latest landing page for RevMax and how this is going to be kind of your one-stop shop for all of your revenue management needs. We have a lot of new features too that we also want to roll out and show you. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. This is going to be our landing page. So anytime you sign up for any of our RevMax tools, this is where you're going to go. So this is going to be your new home screen, if you will. You'll have an icon in your upper right-hand corner that has the RevMax MD Tools and Reports, which will bring you here, as well as a quick link on your left-hand side, which will also bring you to this page. Within here, you'll be able to access all of your tools. So we have your pricing tape chart, your nightly minimum tape chart, how you're going to manage your rate types into your distribution, as well as StreamYield, our automated pricing tool, how you're going to set up your strategies, all of your business intelligence, which Maureen's going to walk you through how all of these new fancy reports will be able to help you increase your revenue. And then also any market intelligence tools that you have signed up for will also display here. So you have everything you need: functionality, automation, reporting, and then how are you doing against the market. So with that, I'm going to kind of just start with this dashboard that we have here. This is whenever you log in and you sign up, you're going to get right to this page. This is going to show you a quick recap of how you're performing daily. So you have your daily revenue and how it compares to last year. If you hover over, you'll get your values. You'll also get an arrow up or down. Green is good, red is bad. And it's going to compare to the same day of week last year. So notice this is not the same date because we want to make sure that we're comparing a Thursday to a Thursday, etc., not a Thursday to a Sunday. So we also give you the same stats with month-to-date revenue. So in this case, this is going to look at May 1 to May 26th, and then also year-to-date as well. So January 1 to May 26th. And if you hover, you can see what your values are, and then again, your quick arrow to tell you whether you're doing up or down. You also get your month-to-date underperforming units. So this will tell you quickly any units that you need to kind of focus on from an exposure-based marketing piece, any owner who's suffering compared to the rest of the inventory. You can get a quick glance here. It kind of lists out your first 25 or so. Then you'll get a quick visual of how you're looking for the year. The column is this year, the line is last year. And if you hover, you can also see the values of those months and how you compare this year versus last year. And then you'll also get the quick stat of how you're doing for the entire month. So May 1 to May 31, what's consumed and on the books last year versus this year. And then we'll also show you your monthly revenue by source. This is going to be month to date, your mix of business. And if you hover, it'll tell you who's occupying all of your inventory, whether it's your standard in your website, Airbnb, or even HomeAway. And it'll also show you the revenue values to those. And then you have your key here at the bottom of which color everyone stands for. And then we'll also give you some quick stats at the bottom so you can see arrivals that are happening today for the next 7 days. Same thing with departures for the next 7 days, how many bookings you've had today, your occupancy today, compared to same day of week last year, and then how that compares if you're up or down. ADR with that same comparative, and then a quick note of any cancellations. So you can see month to date, any cancellation quantity as well as the revenue, and then how they're happening today. So you can see cancellations versus bookings, so you quickly identify any trends. So that's just a quick snapshot. This does update when you guys log in. So it's real-time data, and you just have that once you log into your quick link, it'll just drop right here for you. And then we're going to go right into, I'm going to jump right into more of our advanced tools. We've had, we'll touch base on our pricing tape chart throughout the call, but right now I'm going to just quickly jump into the nightly minimum tape chart because that's where some of our newest features are. And within here, I'm actually going to go here. When you click into your nightly minimum tape chart, you're going to have these boxes here. You have a close to arrival box, a stay through box, and now a close to departure box. And what those are going to show you is, or what it's going to do for you is allow you to implement stay strategies by day of week, by unit. So close to arrival, that's going to allow you to prevent arrivals from happening on any specific day. So if you're trying to protect a turn day, like a Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day, or if you're even trying to implement maybe a Saturday to Saturday where you can just do a close to arrival Sunday through Thursday and then allow Saturday stays, you could implement that. And it's simply just click on a box, unclick on a box. You can also make the change in bulk for the day and also in change in bulk for the entire board. We also give you a stay through option, and a stay through option is kind of what some of you guys experienced today on the season level. But basically here, let me make these changes for you and you can understand what I'm saying here. So if I have a stay through, let's say on this date here, what's going to happen is if somebody wants to stay Tuesday for 2 nights and I have stay through selected on this Wednesday, because there's a 4-night stay here, it's going to force this guest to stay a total of 4 nights. So this will protect this date of arrival from peaking, as well as, again, this could be used as if you were trying to go into a 7-night window or period of time where you have a 7-night stay moving forward, that if somebody just wants to stay Tuesday, Wednesday, they couldn't, they'd have to stay a total of 7 nights. So it helps protect any given day of the week with the longer length of stay that you're trying to implement. And then we also have a close to departure option. And this option, very similar to close to arrival, is simply prohibiting departure on any given day. So if you don't want a guest to depart again on a specific holiday or day of week, you can also prohibit departure date. And all of these again can be changed by the day with your set CTA, set stay through, or set close to departure. And you can also unset them as well. Just by a click of a button, it'll unselect. And you can also make the changes in bulk. So you unselect CTA, unset, oh, that was the same one, unset stay through, and then even unset your close to departure. So again, all of these can be set by the unit, by the day. You have your key at the bottom here of what each one means. And these do work with your distribution partners. So this can be managed at the unit level, and then also if you're using multiple rate types to where you have like a WIM stay rate or an Airbnb rate or a VRBO, you have that flexibility to get your own tape chart for that channel of distribution and also close them out. So if you are trying to yield out a specific channel of distribution, you can literally just close to arrival everybody, and then ultimately that will turn off the ability for anybody to arrive on any given day for that specific channel. So these stay through strategies really come in handy when trying to manage your mix of business that's coming in, as well as managing stay patterns. And again, it gives you the flexibility to now do it at the unit level by the day versus today, a lot of our strategies are set at the season level. So you have, with your flexibility of multiple rate types, then you can also manage all of your rates independently as well. And I'm going to click back over here so you can see that I did my close to arrival on the WIM stay, and now you can see that it's not close to arrival for my regular standard guests that come in. Okay, so I'm going to pause right there because I know that was a lot of information. And then, Mike, I guess there's some questions and that we can do that. I can answer them as it goes. So month-to-date revenue, do we have current monthly revenue total? We do have the month-to-date and then the total month on the dashboard. So you have month-to-date, which is 1 to 31, and then you also have your month here as well, which will tell you how you're performing just for that month. And this is going to be, in this case, 1 to 30. This is June. 1 to 30 this year versus last year. And then let's see here. Does CTA close to pass to all OTAs? Yes, they do. And then right now, the front dashboard, there are no filters for the dashboard yet. That is coming with our phase 2 rollout for this, because that is a hot request that everyone's coming through. And then, do you have to use StreamYard to take advantage of RevMax? No. All of these tools can be independent, or you can get them independently. So just you can have the tape charts and your multiple rate types without the automation, and you can just have the reports without any of the tools as well. So these all act independently. Okay, perfect. So with that, I'm actually going to switch it over to Miss Maureen, and she will walk you through some of the reports that we have.
Great, thanks, Desiree. Okay, so under your RevMax MD segment of your system, you're going to have a business intelligence area. In that business intelligence area, you're going to have reports that will give you both forward and backward data reporting that will allow you to make business decisions. So we're just going to take a look at a few of them today. The first one we're going to take a look at is called the revenue pacing by unit. The revenue pacing by unit is going to be able to give us how much revenue is on the books in total by month for all of our properties in the company. We can also choose to use our additional filters in order to just see a few units or to see it by pricing group. In this main page, we're going to see the total units, the pacing by month, the pricing groups. So if you have pricing groups set up in your system, you'll be able to see how much revenue is on the books for each of the pricing groups by hovering over the bar. If you see a blue bar, that means that the revenue is outpacing the same time last year. If you see a red bar, then that's indicating that your revenue is below last year. Then over here on the right-hand side, you have a breakdown by property, and it operates the same way, that if you hover over top of it, you can see the 2019 versus 2020 revenue. And then if it is a red bar, you can it indicates that the revenue is below last year. As we move down the sheet, you will find a table that provides you with the same information. If we choose to show the details, it's going to give you the breakdown by month and monetary value here. So you'll see the January of this year versus January last year, and then it's going to indicate the difference in the revenue amount, and then also by percents. The totals are here along the bottom. So that report's very useful when trying to identify how our properties are pacing for a specific amount of time. Like for example, if you wanted to pull up the summertime and see how each of the properties are doing in revenue versus last year. And then you can investigate any properties that maybe are down in comparison to last year and why that is. Perhaps it's owner night bookings. Okay, we're going to go back to our reports. The next one we're going to look at is called Reservation Source. So the Reservation Source report is going to show us from where our reservations are coming. So this is going to show us a total of 2019 versus 2020 revenue from all of our sources. And then it's going to give us a breakdown of where that revenue has come from. So is it coming from a website? Is it coming from HomeAway, Airbnb, returned guest, or any other sources that you have set up in your system? By hovering over each of the sources, it's going to give you the 2020 versus last year comparison amounts so that you can see what the value difference is there. On the right-hand side, it's going to show you that divided by the nightly rooms rented. So you can see what the values are there by hovering over as well. Down at the bottom, you're going to be able to see the same table format of the information up above, and your sources will be located on your left-hand side and divided out by month. Now, this is an interactive report, so if we want to see where the January Airbnb reservations came into, which properties, you can click on that January value, and it's going to list your properties and then also the revenue that went into each one of those properties from that source, and then also the nights that that source received. You're also going to have a last year column, so if there was any revenue from those sources for those properties last year, you'll be able to see the data for that time frame too. Okay, so our next report is going to be the booking window report. And I love this report when you are setting up things like if you decide to use StreamYard, this is going to be very useful. This is also useful, for example, if you're going into a time frame like Labor Day weekend and you want to see what percentage of my reservations book within 30 days or 14 days of arrival, so that you can see what percentage of your inventory you have remaining right now and what percentage of the inventory you can expect to be booked by day of arrival. It helps you to see if you need to make some changes in your pricing strategy or your length of stay strategy. So right now we have defaulted to the entire year as of today. So your filters are there at the top, just like in the other reports where you can choose to do it by pricing group. You can choose to filter out just by a specific period of time. This is going to show us a graph, and if we hover over it, we're going to be able to see how many reservations and how many nights have come in for that period of time in advance of the stay. So the solid bar is going to represent this year, and then the line is going to represent 2019's data. So you can easily see just at a glance if you are up or down in your booking window for a specific amount of time. This is really helpful with COVID because we're seeing that the length of stay, or I'm sorry, that the booking windows have really shrunk for people who are making reservations. There's a lot of reservations coming in right now for arriving within the next 30 days, whereas people may have booked a little more in advance last year. A little further down, we're going to see the table format of what we just saw up above. And this is going to show us, like, for example, same day of arrival, what kind of average rate we are able to get this year for same day arrival guests, how many reservations that equated to, and then what percentage of bookings we get for same day arrival. And then for the next row, we're going to see between 1 and 7 days of arrival what the revenue, reservations, and percent of bookings are. So this is also going to help you when you're looking at what percentage of your business books within a certain period of time, and if you change rates or if you change restrictions, how you could maybe move that needle a little bit to get additional market share if you need to gain additional reservations for any period of time. As we scroll down to the bottom, we're going to see that information distributed by month. So in this case, we ran the report for the entire year. So we're going to see each of the months have their own data. So we can see if the nights are up or down. We can see what our ADR is by month, and then also the distribution of when those stays book. Okay, then we're going to look at your night minimum report. So as Desiree was showing you previously, I'm just going to extend this out a little bit. In your night minimum tape chart, there are a lot of restrictions that you can use in order to create strategies that will help you to maximize your occupancy. And so this report is kind of a check and balance to your night minimum tape chart. This allows you to run a report for any period of time, and it will display the data for what your nightly minimums are or any restrictions by day. It's going to also show you what pricing group those units belong to, and then each individual unit within that group and what the restrictions are. This is going to be helpful, for example, if you have a 7-night minimum on, but closer to arrival, you want to remove those 7-night minimums if the unit is unsold. This is going to be useful for something like that, where you can look a week or two out in the future and make sure that all of your units have those minimums changed. And if you see any that do not have those minimums changed, that you can go in and make those adjustments. Okay, and then the last report we're going to look at is also a checks and balances report. It's called the daily pricing report. So this report is going to show you what, and you can do this by either your standard rate, or if you use yielding, you can choose to look at your yielded rate. But it's going to show you for each of your pricing groups along the top here, and then all of the units within those pricing groups, what your nightly rate is that you're selling. And so this is good, for example, if you're loading in your pricing for the upcoming year, and you want to go back and you want to make sure that you didn't accidentally forget a 0, or that you got your rates correct, or like in the case of this unit right here, there is no value. So it's a good way to review your rates so that you can make sure that there aren't any errors and that things are displaying as you would want them to. And so that's going to be very helpful for you when you are doing those large changes, those large rate changes for your inventory. So at that, I'm going to hand it back to Desiree. Desiree, you have mute on.
Thank you. So all of our reports are going to come with some pretty advanced features that we have for you guys. So one thing actually there was a question that came through, and I want to actually look at answering it right now. Some of the reports we were looking at, you want to look at an apples to apples comparison of performance from, hey, I had, 20 units last year, and now I have 50 units this year. So within the filter, in the revenue pacing report, for example, you have all of your filters, right? So you can filter by type and by source, pricing group, location, etc. We also give you this fun filter here that's excluding any units created after. So if you need to exclude any units that maybe were added this year, you can actually just backdate your report to say exclude any units that were created after 12/31/2019, and that will remove any new units added to your inventory. So that way you can at least get an apples to apples comparison. We also give you the flexibility to exclude any non-renting units, any inactive units, and exclude any stream share or parent units depending upon your setup. If the revenue values also report and you want to include room rent add-ons, we give you that function, as well as if you want to see your revenue with any bundled fees. So you do have some additional flexibility here, so that way you can filter the data as you need. So it depends on how you're managing your inventory in regards to what units you want to show. If units come off rental and you make them non-renting, then using your excluding after date as well as your non-renting, excluding them from your data, will help give you some more apples to apples comparison. If you just make them inactive, we also give you that functionality as well. So there's definitely some flexibility in the reports that will give you what you need. And then also, all of the reports, just to also highlight real quick, do report nightly. It has nothing to do with your revenue recognition, has nothing to do with when you've dispersed. It's just looking at nightly rent on reservations. But then we also do give you the flexibility to run the report by check-in or check-out. Okay, so I know that was one of the questions that came in over the chat. So back to tools and fun stuff. So this pricing tape chart has a lot of information on it, but we wanted to kind of turn everything on, that way you could see what we had available. So the first thing, and you don't have to have both of everything on here, you can just have one or the other, or everything if you choose. So the first thing is that we're giving you guys market intelligence right into your tape chart. So what this is doing is you have this new section up here, and it's called the LSI Data Insights. So it's pulling, so for example, this unit is in Myrtle Beach. So this is going to pull the units from Myrtle Beach that everybody who's signed up with LSI, so there's 86 units. And basically it's going to tell us what the ADR was. So what did all those units sell for by day? Out of that 86, what is the occupancy of those units? You know, how many units are sold versus how many is left? And then what is the average length of stay for these units out of these 86? As well as when did these guests book? What was their booking window on average? So we could see in this specific market, their booking window is about 2 months out for guests who've stayed this week. And then as we get into the July 4th weekend, we can see that they've actually booked a little bit farther, more than 90 days out. And then as we get further into the summer, we can see that they were booked even further out than that. So that gives us a good idea to see if the market is getting a lot of last minute demand, or if it was, you know, booked pre-COVID, and kind of how they're moving and what they're doing and what they're selling at. As well as we also give you kind of their RevPAR as well, so you can see on average how are they performing by unit, and how does that compare to your RevPAR and what you're able to capture per unit. So if you click this more button here, you'll actually get a lot more statistics for that data. So if you wanted to see, you know, what's left, your revenue per paid unit, revenue per available unit, revenue per paid room, you get a lot of different statistics, but you just can expand it or collapse it with just this more option here. So the other new feature that we have is where you can actually choose your own comp set. So a lot of folks will say, okay, you know, this is 86 units, this is great, but I really just want to look at 3 bedrooms that are in a mile radius of me, or I want to look at, you know, 2 bedrooms that are in the same neighborhood as me. So we do give you that flexibility now. And what it's actually called RevMax Rate Scan. And what we'll do is you tell us what units you want us to shop, and we'll go out and shop it for you. Once you define the units, there has to be a minimum of 5. You define it per yielding group, right? So we have all your yielding groups set up. And in this case, it's the 3 bedrooms. And out of that group of units that you want us to go shop, we will then drop those results right here into the tape chart. So the benefit of this in how it's different is this is the entire market. This is just maybe your 5, 10 competitors that you directly compete with, that you know the quality of units, you know where they're located, you guys know who you compete with and who you stand with in the market. So this allows you to give you a little bit of that granular insight. So first we give you the average selling price. So how that's different than the ADR is, in this example, this 80% that the market is booked at, or my competitive set is booked at, it sold for 401, and that remaining 20% is now selling for 403. And so it allows you to see, okay, this is great that, you know, this is what they booked at, but for that remaining, what are they doing? Are they discounting last minute? Did they have compression? Are they increasing rate? You know, it allows you to kind of just see what is their moves? What, you know, how are they positioning? What are they doing? What's their strategy? So for example, here you can see for the 8th, they were at a 378 and now they're selling for 403. So there's a little bit of compression there. They are only at 60% occupancy. And then their RevPAR, which you can see is 227, and the length of stay is an average of 1 night. So then you can directly see exactly what your competitive set is doing, what they sold for, how they're selling for the future, what the occupancy is, and what their length of stay is. So we drop those results in so you can see. And then of course you have your stats here, and then your occupancy, your length of stay, your pricing, etc. And then also we give you, of course, your ADR, your occupancy for the group, your RevPAR per unit, and then what did you sell last year? That's also a newer feature that was released. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but this gives you exactly what did you sell on Monday of July last year. We were at 408, now we're at 467, and now I can see what the market's doing, right? The general market, which is probably 1 to 10 bedrooms, versus my specific 3 bedrooms. How are we all booking and what does that look like? So how you set this up is actually, I'll now kind of go through some of the back end, but pretty much you come through into your stream yield area, you click on your yielding group, and then once you have this enabled, you'll actually have a pricing suggestion tool tab, and then that will show, and let me make sure, can you guys see this box? Yes, I'm assuming yes. So you just go into, in this case, it's HomeAway. So you go directly into HomeAway, choose your comp set, drop in the URL, and that's all we need. And then we'll populate the results and drop it into the tape chart for you. And so it's this pricing suggestion tool tab on your yielding group. And for the record, you do not have to have stream yield. You do not have to be using stream yield. We'll give you this shell and this template, but just because you see it doesn't mean you're actually pricing your units for this. So you don't have to worry about that. This is completely independent. And then you'll drop in your URLs, and then those results will just drop right into the tape chart for you. And you can choose, again, you can choose 3, 5, 10, or actually you can't choose 3, you have to choose 5 minimum. So you choose 5, the average of those results drop in here, and then you can see, and this happens pretty immediately. So we give you market intelligence with LSI. We give you your direct competitive pricing through HomeAway. And then we give you your results here, and then the ability to change what you want to sell from an individual perspective. If you need to, you can do all of that right here. Okay. And then I know there's been some questions about stream yield, so I think we have a few more minutes and I'll just touch on that real quick. So stream yield is Streamline's automatic pricing tool where you do have the ability to set up your own pricing strategy based upon 2 factors. We give it to you with occupancy as well as booking window. And you can set it up a few different ways. Let me just pull this one up here. So this one only has, oops, sorry guys, 3 columns, and you have your days out from arrival. So you can see what do you want the pricing to do if you are within today and 2 days of arrival, as well as you can go up to 120 days out. If you need to add rows, you can add as many rows as you want. So if you need to make that 180, if you need to make this 365, you can set it to whatever you need to. The percentage of occupancy as well is also fully customizable. So if you need to add some columns, like let's say this needs to be 75 and then 100, you can do that. All of your, let's see here. Gabriel?
Desiree,
yes.
I don't think we're seeing your map.
Okay, let me share that. Thank you. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what I was saying is that you have your yielding map, and this is fully customizable. So you can add rows if you need to, you can add columns if you need to, and then what's in between is what you want the pricing to do based upon your days out from arrival and what percentage of occupancy your group is at. So the way that this reads is if I'm within 15 days of arrival and I'm less than 33% occupied, I'm going to drop my price 25%. But at the same time, if I'm within 15 days of arrival and I'm 75% occupied, increase my price 15%. And everything in here is completely customizable to your needs. So you can make this, whatever number you want. You can make your percentages any number you want, and you can also make your days out from arrival any value you want. And again, you can add as many rows as you need to and as many columns. The percentage of occupancy is defined by you. It can look at your entire set of inventory. It can just look at your 3 bedrooms if you need it to, just your ones. You define your percentage of, or your yielding group as we call it, or your occupancy group. You customize that. You can customize your own map, and every unit could have its own pricing strategy. And we do recommend that you have a different pricing strategy per bedroom size. So like your smaller units versus your larger units. So, this may make sense if in this case, actually now due to COVID, everybody seems to have a very short booking window. But in the event when normal and not the new normal, but we have, you know, usually your 1-bedrooms are going to be empty 30 days out, which is normal because people who are just coming with just 1 and 2 beds usually book last minute. So then it may make sense that you are going to be, you know, 60% occupied, but by the end of the day, you know, maybe it makes sense that you are going to sell out. You know, you can start the day with 10 rooms left to sell and you could end the day completely sold out. Whereas a 7-bedroom home probably doesn't have that same strategy. So in that case, same day of arrival, you're probably doing everything you can to get that unit booked and maybe discounting a little bit more aggressively. So you'd create a different map. Like in this case, you have a 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom map versus a 3-bedroom map. So you can have as many maps as you want. You could have as many occupancy groups as you want, also known as a yielding group. And every unit could have its own independent strategy if you needed to. And this is also good too if you have that one owner who says, I don't care if my unit's not sold, or I don't care if my unit's available, or, you know, within 30 days, just drop my price. I just want to get it sold and I don't care what that number is, right? And so you literally just remove a bunch of columns and say, okay, well, if you're open, then within 30 days, then discount my unit. You know, maybe it's 15%, and 20 days, maybe it's 20, and then as you get closer, maybe it's 25. So you can work this a bunch of different ways. It kind of just depends upon what your goals are and what your strategy is, and most times we can make it happen actually. So, and when you have StreamYield on, it doesn't have to be for every unit. It can just be for some units. It doesn't, you know, it could just be for 1 unit as well. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. So what about StreamYield? Is it just for 1 unit? Yes. And it looks at occupancy. So StreamYield can be set up for just 1 unit because it's an automatic pricing strategy. And the way that it looks at occupancy is it looks at it by the day of arrival. So we have a yielding group, right, which we can set up. So in this company, we've set up, you know, the 1-bedrooms to have their own occupancy group, their 2-bedrooms, etc. And what it's looking at is it's going to say, okay, what is the occupancy for that group on that day? And then how many days out am I from arrival? So in this case, if somebody wants to book, right, July 7th, right now I'm at 62% occupancy and I'm within, you know, 1 week of arrival. So therefore it's going to look at the map and say, what am I supposed to do when I'm 62% and within 7 days of arrival? And then if the user said, I want you to decrease price, then it'll take this price and discount it relative to what it said on the map. Or if it was to increase it, then it would increase that price. So it's looking at the group of occupancy for that specific day of check-in and then managing that accordingly. Okay. And then let's see here. Mike, I think we have a few minutes maybe for some more questions. Let me see if I can kind of scan through here.
Yeah, and if there's any questions that you can't answer now, we can always we'll upload the report and you guys can answer them offline for the individual people.
Okay, yeah, and then so just real quick, does the rate scan include the hotels? Absolutely. It's if the hotel is on HomeAway, I should say. Right now, if they're listed on HomeAway, that's where we're shopping from. Phase 2 of that tool will be other additional channels as well as direct websites for the competitors. And then the LSI data, it comes from anybody who signed up with LSI to share their stats. Now keep in mind, sharing the data is just simply showing if a unit is occupied and maybe the size of the unit. We don't get guest information. We don't get anything else. We just want to know, did it sell? What was the price? How long ago did it sell? And what's the rent? And then let's see here. And then also, and then again, you can take everything independently. You don't have to, if you buy the package, you're going to get everything, right? You're going to get the tools, StreamYield, and the business intelligence. We actually don't sell anything a la carte, but you don't have to use StreamYield. So if you're on Beyond Pricing or another third-party pricing tool, that's fine. you'll still get this access because you'll need it for your competitive shops, but you won't necessarily automatically price. But you'll still have the shells, as well as you'll get the tools, the ability to set different pricing and length of stay per channel of distribution, as well as you'll get all of the reporting. So all of that comes together. It's actually a disservice if we just give you one without the other. So it is just one module, and that's why you'll be here on the landing page. And so when you get it, you'll click this link, and then everything will show as desired. And then also, I think there was a question about automation. Automation for this dashboard, not yet. I know that was another hot request coming out. But right now, it's, you do have to log in and then click the button to see your performance. Okay, but I think that's it from our side. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to hang out with us for a few minutes. Thank you guys. And Mike, I guess I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks. And there was one other question that I can address part of that. Nicholas Walters talks a little bit about the marketing side of this. And I can tell you, Nicholas, we're putting a huge effort into creating owner recruitment tools in our next releases, and definitely adding some stuff about this will be in there. So we will follow up with you on that. And yeah, we'll have it available to where, if you want to white label it and not have our name on it, we just want you to be able to recruit owners. So definitely RevMax tools will be a big part of the owner recruitment side. So anything else, RevMax team?
No, I think that's it from us. Just thank you guys, and happy 4th of July, and stay safe.
And thank you everyone for attending this week, and have a great rest of your day.